Hello, everyone. Thanks very much for joining us for what I think is going to be a super session. I was very privileged to meet the speaker, Jane Rasmussen from Copenhagen. She's joining us all the way from there. I met Jane last year before last, I think, and in Uganda, and was just so impressed by her passion for the company for which she works. It's very rare that you meet people who have got so much energy after so many years working in the same organization. And Jane definitely has that in bucket loads. And so Jane is the Director of Sustainable Supply Chain at Novo Nordisk. Jane, do you want to just put your mic on mute? Because there's quite a lot of feedback and I don't want people to miss out what a star you are.
Yep, I'm on mute.
Okay, and so Jane's been working for Novo Nordisk since 2004, and this is a whole new initiative and department that Jane's heading up, and we all know that sustainability is something that we need to be so incredibly cognizant of, and we were just talking about companies that talk a lot about it, but they don't actually do it. So this is an organization that is really going to be walking the talk, and I'm very proud to watch Jane progress in this role and to really be a part of the journey. So I hope you'll all enjoy it. Novo Nordisk is a force to be reckoned with. I don't know, those of you, I know it's in the précis, but they actually deliver 50% of the world's insulin. And that's just staggering. And how many people around the world depend on their supply chains. So I hope you'll enjoy it. Jane, thank you so much for joining us. And over.
Thanks a lot to Jenny, and thanks for having me. I'm really happy to share the journey that we've been on as Novo Nordisk and talk about how the supply chain have changed its role over the last 20 years or so. So I'll share some more insights to that. So let's see if we can get the slides moving. Whatever good reason, my slide deck has kind of frozen. So maybe one of you ladies can push us to the next page, please. Jenny or Lane, could you maybe please?
Hi, Jane. We don't actually have control of your slides. Only you do. But I'll try and grab a copy of them, and then maybe we can take that over. But in the meantime, if you just want
let me just. I'll try and do the stop sharing and start sharing. Maybe that little trick will do it one more time. So. Let's just see if it works like that. Just a second. It's the fun thing with this new way of doing pre.
Hi, technology is not our friend right now. I think we've lost Jane. I suspected that the internet was a little bit dicky-dicey. We'll just find out where she is. Elaine, if you could just have a quick squiz round and double check if you can find her for me. If you can just bear with us for two minutes, we'll just try and get this sorted out.
one more time to connect here. Do you see me now?
Yes, we can see you and we can see you live. So Jane, you're live.
Okay. Okay, let's try now. Help desk off.
Well, welcome back. You've been around the world.
I certainly have. Should we try from the beginning again, Jenny?
Let's try from the beginning again. Everybody's still here. I haven't seen anybody run away.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Let's hope that we can keep people engaged. All right. And maybe, Jenny, if you just confirm that you can see my slides.
I can see them, and even better, I can see them moving and in full screen mode. So
all right, we're on the roll. Thank you so much, and sorry for the interruption. Okay, let's try and speed it up a little to make the best of the time we have. So, as I try to explain, to us it's really important to be a purpose-driven company. We do believe that delivering medicines is important, but as you can see here in this statement from our CEO, that we actually, we want to make sure that we also run a sustainable business and assume responsibility besides just delivering medicines. The purpose that we have today is actually what we have founded our company on. On the left side here, you can see the founders of our company, August and Marie Krogh, who were the first ones to get a permit to actually produce insulin back in 1922 for Marie to get insulin for her own diabetes. So we are, as a company, we are focusing primarily on diabetes, but we also have a strong presence within hemophilia, growth disorder, and obesity treatment. We deliver nearly half of the world's insulin, as Jenny mentioned, and are a bit more than 45,000 employees worldwide, and are among the top 10 of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world, measured on value. So now I'm going to share with you a bit on the supply chain organization itself, the journey that we've been on, and then focus on the sustainability of the supply chain. So the Novo Nordisk supply chain, there we are dealing with more than 400 direct suppliers that are delivering critical materials to us. But as a corporation worldwide, we have more than 60,000 suppliers that we work with. We have our production lines in the factory network globally, so more than 145 lines. We serve and deliver medicine to more than 30 million people with diabetes and patients that are relying on us. This year we will be doing more than 500 product launches, so that's various types of medicine in many countries around the world. And we are shipping more than 260,000 pallets, primarily cold chain products, to the majority of the world, as you can see here on the right side. The role of the supply chain has developed a lot over the last 15, 20 years. When I started back in 2004, the focus is very much around logistics and shipping and the whole planning of the factory network. Soon we learned that you needed, the right system and up-to-date systems, ERP systems to do your simulation and utilization. As a pharma company, the whole regulatory complexity is evident. So making a link to those regulatory constraints into your supply chain has been crucial. In around 2012, we created our master data and data analytics team. Those teams have evolved tremendously over the past 4 years with all their efforts in using artificial intelligence and other modern technologies to truly simulate the utilization and the demand on the network that we have. We're currently looking into the next generation of planning, so that the centralization of the planning activities using new tools and having the right competences and resources available. And almost exactly a year ago, we created my new department, the Sustainable Supply Chain, focusing very much on the supply chain's impact on both environment and social activities. And then our future is, of course, to be able to truly simulate a full end-to-end network simulation. So the sustainable supply chain, the purpose we have, the challenges, and our focus areas. So we basically took a holistic view on the needs of the world and said, so we know that the temperature is rising. I think everybody who's been seeing the latest IPCC report know that it's today even more important than yesterday to really do something about the greenhouse gas emissions that we contribute with. We know that there's more than 71 million now people around the world who've been forced to flee their homes and are living in very challenging conditions around the world. And we know that more than 3.5 million of those people are expected to suffer from diabetes. So the purpose that we have created for my department is that we want to build a sustainable supply chain that will ensure a CO2 and waste and neutral transport of products and access to affordable medicine, all in a financially responsible way as well. So we basically have two tracks here, two tracks that support the corporation's sustainability agendas within environment and access to care initiatives.
Jane, sorry, your presentation seems to have stopped sharing again. I'm not quite sure why, but I don't know whether if you...
Okay, it is sharing. I'm in full screen and it's moving on my PC.
Okay, I'm looking into it. You carry on talking to it and I'm going to try and grab the slides and share them.
Okay, so I'm on page 12 now. Okay. So if we take a little bit more of a deep dive into the environmental strategy, we've set a company strategy that we want to have reduced our CO2 from our own operations and from product transport. Okay, I try one more time.
Hi, Jane, you're with us.
I seems to be the problem child today. I apologize for that.
No, thank goodness everyone in the audience hasn't run away and they've all got a good sense of humor. So thank you very much, everybody.
Well, so I made it to page 12 talking to myself. So maybe, should I try and share again, Jenny? Let's
try third time lucky.
Let's try and do it again. And now if you just tell me if you my slide and you let's go on with this one here then. Okay, so as a sustainable supply chain organization here, our focus when we look at the environmental strategy here that we've set as a company has been a lot around the product distribution. Of course, there are activities going on the other fields as well, both business flights, product company cards, and our operating affiliates around the world. But product distribution has been our primary focus here, and is currently, as you can, the sizes of the bubbles here actually illustrates the CO2 emission contribution. So it's currently bigger than our own production output. When we look at the social responsibility strategy, we have two elements that we support here from the in the supply chain. The one is centered around the offer of affordable insulins to vulnerable patients in every country. The other one is to expand patient access through supply chain improvements and support to creating heat-stable insulins. So the challenge that we see in the supply chain right now is that there is, of course, a lack of access to affordable care in many countries, but a lot of that is actually due to some sort of a supply chain constraint. It could be price markups throughout the supply chain. It could be cold chain challenges in certain countries. It can be limited collaboration with local NGOs or insights to certain market challenges, and of course also the humanitarian crisis that seems to protract over time. So we have created 7 tracks that is of our focus. So if we talk about the environmental part first, so avoid air transport as much as we possibly can. So get more stuff on the pallet, more stuff in the box, and actually also by that eliminate waste. On our access and affordability improvements, here we have a two-folded initiative that I'm going to share with you later. A lot for a new organization is also to create the data and the insights to the activities that you actually have to support, and then grow the competencies within the organization to now work in a different way than you normally do. So for the environment, our focus right now is to look at the global freight market. As we operate and distribute globally, we will always have to sail, truck or fly products around the world. So how can we do that in a sustainable way? And we have launched partnerships both with airlines and sea lines to actually use green fuel when they are transporting our products, at least for a portion of it. We are now looking into to green fuel. We're talking to fuel producers to see how we can somehow also encourage that more work is being done there. We look at our all the equipment that we use in our supply chain to see, is there anything that can be optimized, that equipment can be reused, becomes increasingly important. And then, of course, when we look at our products that for many of them consists of plastic, let's try and see if we can somehow get that plastic back and reuse it to create a value for that, and avoid that products are ending up in landfill. We really do believe that a lot of these initiatives here needs to happen in partnerships. And the reason why I brought this particular slide here, because I think sometimes you struggle a bit about how to get started on such a journey yourself. And we basically started from the bottom up here. So first we educated ourselves on how to actually measure on the greenhouse gas emissions, how to find the right industry standard or global standards to piggyback on here, and then look at what we could actually change within our own sphere of influence. Our next level here is then to engage with our suppliers. We've already requested our many of our direct suppliers to to work with us to improve on their emissions, to work towards 2030, a zero target for them as well, as we've set for ourselves. And then, of course, we are also looking now with our 3PLs, how can we, work together on reducing CO2 and optimizing the use of equipment better with their support. So we know that, where we want to go. We want to move beyond our own footprint and sphere of influence to really drive a meaningful change to this. So historically, the focus has been only around our own production and the primary distribution. Now we take it a step further and we say we also look at the raw materials that we buy and the suppliers that support that to a request of them to go green and produce their products on renewable energy. We will look into the secondary distribution as well and make sure that we find ways in reducing CO2 for that. But eventually we want to take the entire, circular mindset here and look at the stuff that happens to our products after it's been sold. So that we try to encourage our patients to, put products back to recycling where possible or dispose them in a safe way. On the access to care for reaching patients in humanitarian crisis setting, for this particular page and in interest of time, I just want to mention that again here we also look at partnerships and where we now try to engage with local academia, actually in an initiative in Africa, to see if we can support them developing supply chain competencies with focus of healthcare supply chains, of course, to help facilitate some of the challenges that they have nationally, as they many of them often struggle with impact from humanitarian crisis, whether it's man-made or natural disasters. So. Besides academia, we of course also work with humanitarian organizations and some NGOs to secure affordable insulins to them. We've started a new initiative that we call Donatable, where we are trying to make sure that no good medicines are wasted, and find ways to donate products maybe with a reduced shelf life so that it actually makes good instead of just being scrapped as it would normally do. So that made me to full speed towards the takeaways here on this bumpy ride of a presentation here. But I think what is really important for me to present to the audience today is that, as a company, we are guided by a really clear purpose. It's embedded in our culture and our business priorities. And we hear it all the way from the top management, from our CEO himself, that supporting the sustainability agenda, both within the environment and the social side of our business, is crucial. So it has senior management's attention and is being, talked to in everything that we do. Sustainability is the new standard, and supply chains are playing an absolutely important role here in order to be successful. And finally, investments and partnerships are needed for any company to actually be successful here. So I encourage people to get started. Small steps are also important steps, no matter if you work on the sustainable or in the environmental sustainability initiatives. So let's get started on this joint movement and actually try to act for impact. So I think that was it. Over to you, Jenny, for any comments or questions. I hope it made some sense after all.
You're a star. I think, what is it? Don't work with children animals, or the internet, I think has to be the new mantra. Okay, so Jane, there's a Prince has put a question in the chat, but it is in French, and I can't really speak and read and talk. Something I got this the chain. What is something? Durable. How's your French is probably good. Don't you speak about 7 languages?
Nope, I don't. And I think I will have to tell the dear and patient audience here, please submit your questions in English because I don't speak French. Yeah. Danish and German, but no French.
Well, that's pretty good. That's one step up on me. So, Prince, if you can possibly post your question in English, then we'll do our best to answer it. But really, I just think I love the whole point about sustainability as the new standard, and you'll talk about working in partnership. It is you can be as sustainable as you want to be, but you don't know your supplier's supplier, and that's all part of this whole education that companies need to do, but also from a consumer's point of view. I think that your average consumer is becoming a bit more conscious and asking all those difficult questions.
So no, that's absolutely true, and I think the most important lesson that we have learned is that you're not a failure if you just take the first little step on sustainability and start working in one field. Everybody has to learn this and start building on their competencies and on their sphere of going from scope 1 to scope 2 and to scope 3, right? So it is an evolving journey. And I think the most important thing is simply that people start thinking about sustainable solutions. The days where you just produced a product, sold it to a customer, and then you felt like it was hands off from your side, those days are over. You have to assume a responsibility for your product's entire life and also post its life, because it will have an environmental impact potentially, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So Prince's question was about what makes a company sustainable in the supply chain. I think that's another presentation almost.
No, but it's a cool question. Well, I think, first of all, the commitment to actually try and become it is the first important step. That you create the forum where you discuss sustainability and what it actually means. That you sometimes dare to take the challenging conversations, because you would, in for all of us that has, a normal operation where we have budgets and manning and priorities and, many things like that. Then you will sometimes have conflicts where you would want to go the extra mile. Can you find the money for that or can't you? So I think the most important thing is to create the understanding and the mindset in the company that you actually need to create sustainable solutions. If you want to be here, if Novo wants to be here in 100 years from now, we have to make sure that we actually can do that in a good way and not create harm to nature or to mankind, right? So a responsibility goes beyond just your product. It's everything that you do around it. And I think companies are acknowledging that.
Yeah, great answer. Good question. Thank you, Prince. I'm going to blend these two questions together from Liesel and Vanya, because I think that they you can meld them, because they're about the stakeholder relationships. And Liesel asks, what was the key to your success in getting them on board? And then Vanya asks, have you enforced or encouraged any ISO standards with your supplier?
Well, so, if we take the last one first, as a pharmaceutical companies, there are certain, standards that our suppliers have to live up to, very often ISO standards. So that goes without saying. That's part of doing business with a pharmaceutical company. But our approach towards them in taking them on the green journey, so to say, with us, has been a lot around sharing. sharing knowledge, sharing what we did. Actually, our own factory network globally is now producing on green energy. And of course, that was not easy. We spent 10 years getting there, right? So the whole sharing part is really important. And I think that is something that people should keep in mind. It's not about all of us doing our own individual little thing. It is having that open environment where you can share what you do, and if somebody else can use that too, perfect. So you know, in our country, there's a lot of saying about not wasting food. We could take it into business and say, let's not waste knowledge, or let's not isolate knowledge about something that is not a core competency or an IP right of the company, but let's share what we know to help others along the journey. And then I think we've also been brave enough to actually set the requirement and said to our suppliers, if you want to be a supplier to our company in the future, you will have to go on that green journey with us. You have to convert your production to a production of with green energy. With the risk of someone telling us that they wouldn't, right? But lucky us, that hasn't happened. Everybody has chipped into that agenda.
Yeah. It's very interesting that there's a real theme flowing through the program as to the realization of how important partnerships are. And I think that, you know, you've kind of started the discussion, and the fact that you've been able to tie it in with sustainability as well, which is also a really big thread through the program. So for me, that just epitomizes what it is that people are really, really concerned about having to make a difference in.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's important now with, you know, the questions have been maybe around the environmental piece. But to me, on the social piece, it's equally important. It is important that we all think about how we are not wasting resources on producing medicines or scrapping medicines that maybe still have another year or a year and a half of shelf life when there are people in the world who needs it. That we find ways of creating flexibility and go beyond just thinking. You know, in the classical business way of acting, right? It's even more important here. The cold chain could be another area where you would share and partner up to actually, you know, help others. I mean, we've been working with cold chain, you know, all the time. Insulin requires a cold chain for its distribution, but let's share that. Let's help the others to maybe get an easier way to control their cold chain compared to some of the learnings we've done.
Yeah, absolutely. And Vanya makes a very good point that the challenge and opportunity for our organizational future is how we adjust our business culture. And like you said, sustainability has to be the new standard. Yes. So it's, you know, it's all through everything. I really want to thank you, Jane, most sincerely for putting up with the technical challenges and also for just epitomizing, in my eyes, what a true supply chain professional is. You've coped with adversity, you've been agile, and you've been on time. So for me, you get a very big gold star. Well, and you've got lots of blue. I don't know if you can see the floating blue thumbs, but there are an awful lot of them.
Blues. That makes me happy. What a wonderful thing with an active audience. So thanks a million for that. I'll encourage people, you know, flip through the slides, familiarize with the step that fell out when we lost connections. I really hope it can just inspire someone to try and start on the journey. It's so rewarding when you start that, and you will see a massive commitment in your organizations to actually help, you know, working on these agenda, because both the social and the environmental pieces are just so dear to many people's heart. So, you know, release that energy and resources in your organizations to benefit. Let allow it to grow. Cool. Thanks for having me, Jenny. Thanks, everyone.
No, what a pleasure. Thank you very much. And what a super message to go off on. Jane, thank you very much. Safe travels back to Copenhagen.
Thanks a lot.
Enjoy the rest of the summer and we'll talk soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. And to everybody else, if you've selected your next session, you've got, because we're so perfectly on time. Thank you very much, Jane. Thank you very much to all of you. We will make the slides available so that you've got the combination of the disjointed presentation. Although, you know, like a true professional, I think she did an exceptional job. And we'll see you in whichever of the next sessions, or if you're going to go and have your caricature done, or you want to go and grab a quick cup of tea, coffee, water, then keep going, final push until the next session and then lunchtime. Okay, thank you very much, and I'll see you all at the next session. So you need to log out and then choose your next session and log into the next one. I'm off to, where am I off to? I'm off to third-party access to the South African rail system. So I expect to be much cleverer than I am by the end of that one. Thanks again, everybody.